Real talk. Have you ever said yes to something and then spent the next 3 days dreading it?
Every single week of my life.
Like, you hear yourself saying, "Sure, no problem." And inside you're thinking, "Why did I just say that?"
And then you're lying awake at 11 p.m. like, I have to cancel, but it's too late to cancel, so now I just have to go.
Today we're going to talk about that, how to say no without the guilt spiral. Hey everyone, welcome back to English Out Loud.
Hi, so glad you're here. Let's get into this one.
So the topic today is saying no. And I feel like this is one of those things that sounds simple but is actually really hard.
Really hard, because we're not just talking about the word no, we're talking about the feeling that comes after it.
Right? That kind of low-key guilt where you feel like you've disappointed someone even when you haven't done anything wrong.
Low-key guilt, yes, that's a great way to put it. Like it's not dramatic, it's just this quiet, uncomfortable feeling that follows you around.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, especially if you grew up being taught to be polite or helpful, really struggle with this.
Oh, absolutely. And it's even harder in a second language, right? Because in your own language, you might have the right tone, the right words, the right way to soften things. But in English, sometimes you're not sure how to say no without sounding rude.
That's such a good point. Like, you know what you want to say, but you're not sure if it'll come across the right way.
Come across, yeah. That phrase means how something sounds or feels to another person. Like, did that come across as rude? Did that come across as confident?
Perfect. And that's actually one of our key phrases today. Come across as. We'll come back to that. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Why is saying no so hard?
I think one big reason is that we care about what people think. Like most of us want to be seen as helpful, as a good friend, a good colleague.
And saying no feels like you're breaking that image somehow.
Right? And there's this assumption that a good person always says yes. Which is not true at all, but it's a feeling a lot of people have.
I used to be really bad at this. Someone would ask me to help with something, and even if I was totally overwhelmed, I'd say, "Yeah, sure, I'll figure it out."
And then you'd be stressed for 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yes. And the worst part is, nobody even knew I was stressed. They thought everything was fine.
Which brings up something important. When you always say yes, people don't know your actual limits. They're not being mean, they just don't know.
Right? So, in a way, saying yes all the time is not being honest with the people around you.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. You're not protecting them by saying yes. You're actually hiding how you feel.
Okay, so here's a phrase I want to introduce. Draw the line. As in, you have to draw the line somewhere.
Oh yes, draw the line means to decide that something is too much and you won't go further. It's about setting a personal limit.
So you could say, "I'm happy to help, but I have to draw the line at last-minute requests."
Nice. Or I'm fine with working late sometimes, but I have to draw the line at working every weekend.
Exactly. It's a polite but clear way to set a boundary.
And the great thing about this phrase is it doesn't sound angry or dramatic. It just sounds like an adult making a reasonable decision.
Which is all saying no really is, when you think about it. Okay, so let's talk about the how. Because saying no is one thing. Saying no in a way that doesn't destroy your relationships is another.
Right? And I think people worry so much about the relationship part that they end up not saying no at all.
So what are some ways to actually do it?
Okay, first thing, you don't always need a long explanation. I think a lot of people, when they say no, they over-explain. They give this huge reason with lots of details, and it ends up sounding like they're asking for permission.
Oh, that's so true. Like, I can't come because I have this thing, and also I'm really tired, and I've been so busy, and…
Yes, and the more you explain, the more it sounds like you're not sure yourself.
So, what's better?
Something clear and kind. Like, I can't make it this time, but thanks for inviting me. Or, that doesn't work for me right now, but I appreciate you thinking of me.
Short, warm, done.
Exactly. And here's a phrase that helps a lot. Let me get back to you on that.
Oh, yes. This is such a useful one. It means I'll give you my answer a little later. It buys you time to think.
And the thing is, sometimes you need that time. You don't have to answer immediately. Let me get back to you on that is totally normal and professional.
So instead of panicking and saying yes in the moment, you can say, let me get back to you on that. Think about it, and then give your real answer.
Right? And that real answer might still be yes, but it's a yes you actually chose, not a yes you fell into.
Love that. A yes you chose.
And if it's a no, you've had time to figure out how to say it kindly.
Okay, another thing I want to talk about is when you feel guilty after saying no. Because you can say no perfectly and still feel bad afterward.
Oh, this is the part nobody talks about enough. You did the right thing. You said no clearly and kindly. And then you spend the rest of the day second-guessing yourself.
Second-guessing yourself. That's another phrase. It means doubting a decision you already made.
Yes, like, was I too harsh? Should I have just said yes? What if they're upset with me now?
And then you go back and check their messages to see if they replied normally.
Every time. Every single time.
So how do you deal with that guilt?
I think the first thing is to recognize that the guilt is not evidence that you did something wrong. It's just a feeling your brain produces because you care about people.
That's a really useful way to think about it. Like, the guilt isn't a sign that you made a mistake. It's a sign that you're a considerate person.
Exactly. And you can acknowledge that feeling without letting it control your decision. Like, okay, I feel a little guilty. That's normal, but I made the right call.
Make the right call. That means to make the right decision.
Yes, it's a very natural-sounding phrase. In the end, I made the right call. Or, it was hard, but I think we made the right call.
I use this one all the time. It sounds casual, but it's totally appropriate in serious situations, too.
And I think when you can say to yourself, I made the right call, and actually believe it, the guilt starts to fade a little faster.
Not immediately, but eventually.
Right. It takes practice, like most things. Okay, I want to share something kind of embarrassing that happened to me last year.
Please.
Okay, so a friend of mine was organizing this charity event, and she asked me to help with the social media side of things. And I said yes, because it was for a good cause, and I didn't want to seem unhelpful.
Classic.
But here's the thing, at that point I was already juggling 3 big projects at work. I was exhausted. I had 0 mental space for anything extra.
But you said yes anyway.
I said yes anyway, and then I kept putting it off because I was too tired to do it properly, and then it got to the point where I'd waited so long that saying no felt even harder.
Because now you'd already technically said yes and done nothing.
Exactly, so I had to go back and say, hey, I'm really sorry, I took on too much and I can't do this well. Can we find someone else?
How did that feel?
Terrible. Honestly, so uncomfortable. But you know what? She was completely fine with it. She just said, oh, no worries, thanks for telling me.
Which is usually how it goes.
Usually. And that was the moment I realized the longer you wait to say no, the harder it gets. You have to say it early when it's still easy.
There's a phrase for that kind of situation. Bite the bullet.
Yes, bite the bullet means to do something difficult or uncomfortable that you've been avoiding. It sounds kind of intense, but it just means stop delaying and deal with it.
So like, I knew I had to have that conversation. I just needed to bite the bullet and do it.
Right, and once you do, you almost always feel better immediately, even if the conversation was awkward.
The dread is usually worse than the actual thing.
100%.
Okay, so let's do a quick vocabulary recap before we wrap up. We covered 5 key phrases today.
First, come across as. This means how you appear to others, like, I hope that didn't come across as rude, or she comes across as very confident.
Second, draw the line. This means to set a personal limit. I'm happy to help, but I have to draw the line at working on weekends.
Third, let me get back to you on that. This means I'll give you my answer later. It gives you time to think instead of saying yes by accident.
Fourth, make the right call. This means to make the right decision. It was hard, but I made the right call.
And fifth, bite the bullet. This means to do something uncomfortable that you've been putting off. I finally bit the bullet and had the conversation.
5 great phrases. All very natural. All very useful for everyday life.
And honestly, they all come up in situations where you're navigating something a little emotionally tricky, which is most of real life.
Which is most of real life, yes. One last thing before we go. I think it's worth saying that saying no gets easier with practice. Like most communication skills, the first few times feel really awkward. But the more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
And you start to notice that most people are actually okay with a polite no. They move on. The world doesn't end.
Right. And the people who aren't okay with it, the ones who make you feel terrible for having limits, that says something about them, not about you.
That's a good note to end on.
All right, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for listening.
If this episode felt useful, please like it and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow.
And leave us a comment. Tell us, what's something you find hard to say no to? We'd love to hear from you.
Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.